Elusive creature. Alright, just squat it down.
Where at?
Yeah, let me see your camera, I'll do it.
I guess stand up.
I know you've all seen this before. It's huge, it's gone viral. But I really love this footage because if it's not a hoax, I think we're looking at Bigfoot. Okay, let me give you a little bit of background information. So this was filmed in rural Colorado on Sunday, October 8th, 2023. It was filmed on a scenic train ride from Silverton back to Durango. And the distance between Silverton and Durango in a straight line is about 62 kilometers, which is about 38 miles. So the witnesses here are Shannon Parker and Stetson Tyler. The video itself was actually recorded by a guy called Brandon, who was sitting next to Stetson. So Shannon and Stetson were scanning the mountainside looking for elk when they spotted this thing. They estimated the creature to be at least 7 feet tall, and they spoke to the conductor on the train, and he said he's never seen anything like this, but he has seen large footprints in the snow in that general area. The witnesses also stated that out of the hundreds of people on the train, probably only 3 or 4 people actually saw this thing. And you can see too how well it blends into the environment. It's almost perfect camouflage. So regarding this video, there's been claims that perhaps this is the actual train line, the tourist board, doing a hoax to try and drum up business, which is plausible. But if this is not a hoax, then I think we're actually looking at a Bigfoot. And so for that reason alone, it's a very interesting video. It doesn't say exactly where along this 62-kilometer long scenic train line whereabouts exactly this sighting took place, or at least I couldn't find any information. And but regardless, it's a pretty remote location. I mean, have a look at it on the map here. There's nothing around. Sure, it would be easy to hoax, but, you know, I want to believe.
Alright, just squat it down.
Where at?
Yeah, let me see your camera, I'll do it.
Hello and welcome to From the Fringe. I'm Christopher. Hope you're all having a really great day or evening. And I'm gonna say, I'm really impressed with that last video. Because if it turns out that it's not a hoax, then what else could that be besides a Bigfoot? I mean, it's not a bear. It's certainly not an elk. It has to be Bigfoot, if it's not a hoax. And just staying on the same theme of Bigfoot, I came across a few stories about yowies. Yowies obviously being the Australian version of Bigfoot. And these yowie sightings are pretty much just down the road from my house, so I took a keen interest in these. They're a little bit old, but I can take you out to the locations where they actually happened, which is what I've done. All the footage here is footage of the actual locations. So let's have a look at these stories. So this first one I want to share with you is from a guy called Jamie, who's got a Amazon Music podcast, which is called Where's My Yowie? This sighting took place on Bribie Island in November 2020. So back in November 2020, Jamie was in the Bribie Island bush filming some content for his podcast, I presume. And he had stopped for a break and was staring into the bushland when he noticed this long white stick-like thing moving amongst the trees. He was trying to identify this stick-looking thing when all of a sudden the shadows surrounding the stick came to life. And this is how he described it in his podcast.
The shadows came alive. It was so amazing. This black yowie just stepped out of the shadows of the trees and into the light, and I could see around the silhouette of it, where the sun was shining on the black yowie, you could see that the hair was like brownish reddish tinged, even though like it was just solid black. It was at least 6 foot high. It was broad across the shoulders and had a good sized head. And it was like moving away from me, and 2 more steps and it just disappeared. So it's like 3 steps all up and gone. It happened so fast. I tried picking up the camera and it was like vanished before I even got anywhere near pointing at it. I wasn't scared at all, which is really weird. I was just excited and amazed. But there was no way I was going in the bush after it. Like, I'm not that stupid.
Later, he met a woman who used to live in that same area in Bribie, and this woman also saw something very unusual.
But she saw something down there walking in the bush one day about a year beforehand. And this is what she told me. It's so weird. She saw a naked Aboriginal man holding a spear in the bush while she was walking down the path. And she just kept going. She wanted to get out of there. But what she added, and this is the bit that gets me, he was really black coloured, like his skin was black or his hair was black. I don't know what she was talking about. But he was 8 feet tall. Now, I reckon she saw a yowie, and because she only got a glimpse of it and she just kept going and it scared her, but she never saw it again. So it's really weird that like someone else has confirmed that they've seen the yowie in the same area as me. Like, I know other people that have seen him on the island as well, but this is like in the same exact area that I saw mine.
So in both cases, the humanoid was carrying a stick. And I find it interesting the fact that the woman's mind interpreted this 8-foot tall creature as an Aboriginal man. It makes sense to me because for most people, if you see something unusual like a giant hairy monster, the brain's just not going to compute. It's going to come up with something more rational. And for her brain, the more rational explanation was a giant Aboriginal man standing in the bush. The same thing happened with the witness in the next story. Initially, he thought he was looking at an Aboriginal man too. This happened on the mainland just off Bribie Island, back in, July 19th, 2013, about 6 to 7 a.m. This anonymous man had had a fight with his wife, so he went out for a drive to cool down. He stopped on a dirt road for a cigarette, and as he was sitting in his vehicle, he happened to glance into the rear view mirror and saw something sitting in the middle of the dirt track. Upon seeing this thing, he twisted around in his seat to get a better look. As he did so, the creature immediately got up and bounded away in no more than 3 strides. Each stride was estimated to be approximately 2 to 3 meters long, which is 6 to 9 feet, and were more like hurried steps rather than leaps. He was surprised that the creature saw him because his car's windows are tinted very dark. So this suggests extremely acute senses, vision, or possibly a telepathic sense. He says that dogs could be heard barking in the distance. Whether that has something to do with the yowie or not, who knows. He says the human-like creature he saw was tall and skinny, lanky of leg. At first, he thought it was a very tall Aboriginal man, but then he noticed that the being was covered in hair, dark grey to dark brown hair. It was almost black. So there you have that misidentification of an Aboriginal man, because the brain just does not compute, like I said, and so there's no way they're looking at a hairy monster, so, it has to be a man. And so last of all, I've got this experience which happened on Bribie Island. This was back in November 1998. Mr. B was driving at approximately 70 km per hour along Bribie Island Road between 11 to 12 p.m. It was in swampy terrain, with swamp on either side of the road. As he neared some freshwater lagoons which were in the area, a large hairy man jumped out of the scrub right in front of the car. He hit the brakes to avoid the creature, which was estimated to be about 7 to 8 feet tall. Mr. B then watched as the yowie ran off towards the estuary. He doesn't drink and was considered a reliable witness by the researcher. So these particular stories were really interesting for me personally because of the proximity to where I live. I know those areas. Not particularly those areas, but this general area. So it was interesting to get out there and have a look at the actual locations and the bushland there. Okay, I'm back. You may notice a slight difference in appearance here. It's actually a few days later. I had to break it away before, after I was talking about whatever I was talking about. What was it? the yowies. But let's just continue on like nothing happened. This next story is entitled Face Peelers. That's right, face peelers. And I'm going to I'll give you a heads up. I will mispronunciate a lot of names in this because it's a story based, or this comes from Peru, from Lima in Peru. Villagers from the remote district of Alto Nene, northeast of Lima, Peru, claim they have come under attack by 7-foot-tall aliens, which they have dubbed Los Pelacaras, or the Face Peelers. Members of the Iquitu tribe, numbering approximately 1,350 people from the San Antonio native community, have reported mysterious figures in dark-coloured hoods attacking the villagers. According to the community leader, this guy, one such villager, a teenage girl, narrowly escaped an attack. However, quote, as a result of the struggle, they cut part of her neck, he said. According to local media, members of the community are conducting night patrols to protect the women and children and the more vulnerable villagers, and have called on the authorities to send in the military. Locals have described the extraterrestrials as having large heads and yellowish eyes, and said that the mysterious figures are immune to their hunting weapons. They claim that they have attacked them every night for nearly a month since July 11. Latina Noticias, a Peruvian news outlet, quoted Davila as saying, Davila being the community leader, quote, "We have met almost face to face. His face is hardly visible. I've seen his whole body floating at a height of 1 meter, he said, talking about the aliens, obviously. The village have now requested a military presence from the Peruvian authorities. However, it reportedly takes a 10-hour river trip to reach the community from Iquitas City. Davila says, quote, "We need support for our community. The children do not sleep, and the mothers stay up all night. They appear to be armoured. I shot one of them twice, and he wasn't injured. He rose and disappeared. We're very frightened about what's happening here in our community. Their shoes are round-shaped, which they use to float. Their heads are long. They wear a mask, and their eyes are yellowish. They are experts at escaping," he says. And doesn't this one remind you of the Hopkinsville goblin encounter? Those weird little green, big-headed, I think they had yellow eyes too, and they attacked that farmstead in Hopkinsville. Maybe they're back. And moving on, this photograph was taken in Pilcomayo River in the city of Tarija, Bolivia. And can you see it? Can you see the alien in this picture? I'll give you a hint, it's on the other side of the river. And there it is. So clearly this is a pretty poor photograph of an alien. And the main reason why I included it in this video is because I like how convincingly the skeptics have pulled this photo apart. And you can see in this video how they did it.
Una noticia donde se supone que encuentran un extraterrestre, pero la cadena noticiosa se dirige hacia lo que es un magufo. Pues nos queda investigar qué hay detrás de todo esto, si no se trata de un fake. Así que rápidamente nos vamos con Google, buscamos imágenes de extraterrestres, análisis rápidamente y confirmar que sí, que se trata de un fotomontaje, ya que la imagen coincide exactamente con estas otras. Así que sin tanto vuelo es un fake, así de fácil.
And just another little detail that the hoaxers forgot was the reflection in the water. There's no reflection there, and there should be. So be very careful. Don't believe everything that you see. I don't have to tell you guys that, you know. Okay, let's move on. This is the ghost of Nina. Apparently there's a very active presence in the Shanghai tunnels in Portland, Oregon. And they reckon this is most likely a prostitute that was killed in 1900. And that's a pretty creepy photo. So a little further information is, this is thought to be Nina, who was a native prostitute, who was pushed down an elevator shaft in the then Merchant Hotel around 1900, The pic was taken by a guest on tour with her husband, who's standing to the left of the picture. And so apparently Nina is a well-known spectre in the Shanghai tunnels there in Portland. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. This next one. I had never seen this. Apparently it's been on the internet for years, but I've never come across it. And when I first saw it, I got to admit I was a little bit intrigued about it because it's, well, I'll play the video. I'll let you have a look.
This mysterious carved stone was recently discovered by a Facebook user. Its surface is covered in strange symbols, and it seems to have some sort of magnetic or electrical reaction to objects. When held up against a clock, the second hand would stop moving. Moving the stone close to a light also has a similar reaction. The stone even makes the picture on a television go fuzzy. Even more bizarre than those reactions, the user then pours a jug of water and places the stone inside. Almost immediately, the water bubble and boil. Is this just an elaborate prank, or is it possible this stone has ancient or alien powers?
So I'm not too sure exactly why this one, I wouldn't say it sucked me in, but I was keen for it. I'm keen to see something supernatural. But as you have another look at it, it's pretty obvious that a lot of these, or all of these, are magician's tricks. I've actually got 2 videos of this, and you can see here in the second one, he does the boiling water display again. And I'm not sure how he would do that one, but it doesn't look like it's heat because you can't see any steam. So I'm not sure how that one works. That one's a bit of a mystery to me. This one though, the stone in the bowl that disappears, it's obvious. Have a look at the reflection there. So the bowl that he places the stone in is sort of in the middle of the table. And when he reflects it, in the reflection, you can see that the bowl is sitting at the edge of the table. So obviously he's reflecting the second bowl. The ring, magnetic ring is it supposed to be? Or is that a gold ring? I don't know. But, you know, you wiggle the table and the rock moves. The clock could be a magnet stopping it, or he could have an assistant behind the scenes that's actually manually stopping that clock. The light bulb, pretty self-explanatory. Light bulbs have switches. And on the other one, the TV, same as the TV. It's an old school TV. You wiggle that antenna, you're going to get static. Dear fellows of the kooky and the bizarre, unfortunately I'm going to have to cut the video short here. I did have it planned to tell this rather long story about a time traveler, but the video's starting to get a bit long here, so I'm going to save that story for another video. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Look after yourselves.
Yes, the space people refer to me as mental channel number 1.